Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Half Brothers podcast. I would tell you the episode number, but I forget at this point, so I'm just not going to do it
48.
anymore. 48. We're at 48, episode number 48. It's been a long run already, dude. We're almost at 50, man. We're
Crazy.
putting in work. We're grinding for y'all, putting out this content. But yeah, we're kind of gonna ramble today. Like, we don't have a topic. We were chit-chatting a little bit before we hit record, and still don't have a topic, so we're gonna just try to figure it out and come up with something for you guys. We're both going out of town next week. Hopefully, we'll be able to get another episode out. But if we don't, it's because Glenn got sunburn again. So
It'd be that. Or because I'm too tired and I asked Jacob if I can take a nap instead. Because that's what I did today. I
that is what happened.
I started a little late. You can see the bags under my eyes. Guys, it's been a long day for your boy. As I was telling Jacob, I got up at 5:30 in the morning, Eastern Standard Time, because, it's the holiday season, as in the Passover and Easter holiday season. And so us church folk, we like to do some prayer stuff, some worship stuff before the mighty Resurrection Sunday. And so this morning we had a cool little prayer and music morning. Then I had a fun doctor's appointment to check on that hip, see how that hip's doing, the surgery.
Man.
And the good news is he said it looks terrible and the surgery was a failure.
Oh no,
Just kidding.
not actually.
Not
Okay.
at all. No, it was the complete opposite. It's going great. Everything's great. It's a lot better. We're getting there. So, and my hip is very important for this podcast, as you can see.
It's a big storyline here.
It's a big storyline here. The fan is crazy about it.
That one fan that exists. We're talking to you, brother. I actually just learned what the Passover meant last week. I had heard the term so many times, but I actually literally just learned what it was last week. I watched a Ruslan video and then they talked about it at church and I was like, wow.
Yeah.
What a coincidence.
You want to give a little explanation for it real quick?
I mean, yeah, sure. So when the Israelites were on their way to be leaving Egypt and, God was, doing all these different things, one of the things was he brought the curse of death to the firstborn of all the families as a curse against Pharaoh for not letting the Israelites leave. So what the Jews had to do was they had to sacrifice a goat or something, and then you take the blood of it and put it on their door frame so that the angel of death that came to take the firstborn in each family would pass over their homes. And when I heard that the first time, I was like, oh my gosh, now it makes so much sense. So then for a long time, maybe they still do it. I'm not Jewish. I don't know. For a long time, that was their big celebrated holiday was, celebrating the Passover meal, or maybe that's not what they call it. I'm not Jewish. I don't know all the details.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, they had the Passover meal to kind of celebrate and remember that time of them escaping Egypt and, all the good things that God had done for them. So that's what that means. And
well
I
done.
just learned that last week.
Very well done, sir. That was really good, actually. It's funny because I work with a lot of Jewish people. New York City is the number 2 most populated. Sorry, let me say it again. The most amount of Jewish people exists in Israel, number 1, and the second most Jewish populated place is New York City. And so
that's crazy.
With that, yeah. So there's a lot of Jewish folks here. A lot of my friends are Jewish. A lot of my coworkers are Jewish. One of my roommates is Jewish, and so I was talking to him about this the other day, and he made a funny joke. He was like, "Wow," he was like, "You're not even Jewish, right?" I was like, "No, I'm a Gentile," and he was like, "Wow, well." Pretty good knowledge for a Gentile, because half my family couldn't even explain it like that, and I pretty much shared the thing that you said. So it is funny that I think they appreciate when some of the history.
So now, when you say Jewish, actually Jewish, his family is from Israel at some point. Because people say that, and I'm always confused exactly what they mean by it.
Yeah. I mean, so there's ethnically, and then there's religious, right? Yeah, and so that's so.
So is he ethnically Jewish, or is he both, or?
Yeah, ethnically.
Okay.
And then and whether they practice or not is up to them. So, yeah, so it's different. It's different. Now, the only time it's a little different is when they're a convert. So they're not ethnically Jewish, but they've become Jewish.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no. So we were talking about Passover and everything, and he was very impressed with my knowledge on the matter. And I just love saying that in New York to my Jewish friends. I love saying, yeah, I'm a Gentile. Sometimes they laugh really hard at it. Sometimes they're like, that's weird that you said it like that. but they appreciate it nonetheless. But yeah, man. So that's one thing we talk about first is travel. Where are you going? What's going on? We're both going to the West Coast.
Yep. Sorry. I am going to Utah every year. Me and my mom and her sisters, and typically my uncle goes, but he didn't go last year. His wife is not from this country, and she does not have a green card. So we went to Mexico, and she could not leave the country. So they didn't go last year. They're not going this year because she's pregnant. I'm so happy for my uncle. He's finally having a kid.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Sorry. So then me and my mom, her sisters, significant others, all the kids and everything, once a year, we take a little vacation together, and kind of just be together on the week that my grandma passed. Every year, end of April, we always get together and go somewhere. Last year, like I said, it was Mexico. This year, we're going to Utah and we're going hiking, and I'm so excited about it. Got a lot of cool hikes planned. We're going to be in Vegas for a day too. And you know what's in Vegas this weekend?
Casinos. And
those are there all the time. Yeah.
that's right. I also forgot that was also in Vegas, but I'll let you say it.
Mania. If you didn't watch last week's episode, go check it out. And while you're checking out last week's episode, hit that subscribe button and hit the like, drop a comment, do all that fun stuff for us as well. But yeah, I'm going to Utah. Actually just went, we were talking about this before the podcast as well, to this church retreat up in Vermilion, and that was a ton of fun. I was telling Glenn there was 700 people there. It was We were talking about it. It's got to be like a multitude of churches because I've gone to this church before and I don't think they can fit 700 people in the sanctuary. So it's got to be like a multitude of churches that were there. But yeah, it was insane. 700 people there. They did 55 baptisms on Saturday night. Service started at 8, didn't end till 12:30. Yeah, it was
And there was
insane.
no alcohol there?
No alcohol.
Wow, dude.
Yeah. We were up till 3 a.m. every night.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
That is impressive. That sounds like a lot of fun. Sounds like a great time. Also sounds pretty exhausting. Those are some late nights. But yeah, no, that's super sweet. That is super sweet, man. Well, I'm going to the great city of Los Angeles. Have you ever been, by the way?
No, and I would love to go.
It's a beautiful place. I will say, when I get to the point where I own a property in at least 5 cities, that will be one of them for sure. It's great. Santa Monica.
Really expensive.
Yeah, but a
You'll be
meteor's
balling.
the meteor's going to hit the earth pretty soon. Yeah, no, I mean, Santa Monica is amazing. Beverly Hills, beautiful. It's all great. And the one time that I was there, we ran from gunshots on Hollywood Boulevard at 2 a.m. It was a really fun time.
I thought you've been there multiple times. You only been there once?
I've been there one single time, and I've posted photos from the one trip spread out over time, so it looks like I've been there more than once.
You're one of those Instagram thought mamas.
Genius. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I went to Mexico once, and I have
acted like you've been there multiple times.
If you look at my Instagram, they're like, dang, he goes to Mexico a lot.
It was just the once. It is genius marketing.
Well, you had a few things you wanted to talk about, so why don't we jump in, man? The first one can kind of be a piggyback off of last week, but also when this comes out, it'll be over.
Yeah, it'll be over, and we'll have a new champion. Just real quick before we get into that, Trent, I just want to say, go Gunners, baby. Real Madrid eat socks, nerds. Arsenal beat Real Madrid today in the second leg. You don't know anything about soccer, but so in Champions League, it's like this big competition in Europe. They have 2 matches, and it's like a tournament style, but they have to play each other twice. So they keep score over both matches. Arsenal won 3-0 in the first match, so they're up 3-0 in the second match, essentially. And they won again 2-1 today. So they won 5-1 and beat the defending European champions. So
you say I don't know anything about soccer, that's an insult, because I used to watch every single Calvin Klein underwear commercial with David Beckham in it, okay? So I know soccer, brother, and I had one of those pictures framed on my wall.
It's right there, dude. What are you talking about? It's still framed.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. It's nice.
Let me see your hands. Anyway, yeah. So one topic I wanted to go into, as you guys can all see, heel John Cena just captured his 10th world title, and again, this is before this actually happened. So if it happens, big brain right here, genius. So what I want to talk about is John Cena being a heel in real life, IRL. And I'm sure most people have seen like clips of him on Total Divas, and that's kind of like what showed me that he is a heel in real life. And just a lot of clips from that show. If you don't know what Total Divas is, it was like a reality TV show that they did for the women superstars back in the day. I don't know if they still do it, they might still do it, but because he was dating Nikki Bella, he was in it a lot. And there's just a lot of different clips of him kind of just being a snob in that show. Like there's one clip of him like anytime they have family over for dinner, they gotta be suit and tie. Like Brian Danielson and Brie Bella were staying with them at one point, and he was kind of like saying like, yeah, if you come down for dinner, like you and like if it's just a regular dinner, has to be suit and tie, like have to be dressed up. You have to use like super proper manners and etiquette, like it's old fashioned England, and you're a part of the king's royalty or whatever it is, like just being like super snobby and obnoxious. And that was the first one that kind of turned me off to him. And then I saw this other clip where he told Nikki Bella that she could decide what they did for dinner one night. So she decides to make him dinner. And he gets home and he walks into the kitchen. He goes, "What is this?" And she goes, "Why?" She goes, "I made you dinner." He was like, "Well, I thought we were going out." And she said, "No, you said that I could decide what we have for dinner. Like I decided I want to make you dinner." And he gets all upset about it. The fact that she made him dinner. Like he gets like actually upset about it. You can see it in his face. You can see it in his demeanor. Like he is not happy that she made him dinner. And then in his little confessional thing, he was like, when I said that she could decide what we did for dinner, like I meant she could decide where we go out to eat that night, not like she could make me dinner. Like I come home and I want to go out to a nice restaurant and eat something good, and I come home to this like she's making me dinner. So when I saw that clip, this was genuinely like a year ago when I saw this clip for like the eighth time, and I commented on it and was like, yeah, John Cena, as much as I love him in ring and like would love watching him perform and everything, he's like not a good dude in real life. And all these people commented to me like, no, John Cena's the greatest human to ever live, blah, 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 blah. And I still to this day, it was a year ago that I commented on this post.
And
To
you,
this day, I
yeah,
still get comments on it
so funny.
because it just kind of like resurfaces or it just pops up on people's feeds and then they see that comment. And because it's got so much engagement, it's one of the higher ones on there. So people still comment at me. They still comment going at me. And for a while there, I was commenting back to them, and then I just stopped because it's been going on for so long. But yeah, it just kind of showed me like he is a heel IRL. He's not. It's kind of like that thing when they say like don't meet your heroes. It's like I saw that clip and I was like, man, like that's so disappointing to see. Like you have this one beautiful woman who is like, when you can decide to go out to eat and spend money, she's like, nah, I'm gonna make you dinner instead. I get it, you guys have all the money in the world, like it doesn't really matter. But like she's doing this thing and then you react so poorly and so obnoxiously like that. And then the thing that a lot of people were commenting to me was, John Cena's such a good guy. He has the most make-a-wishes out of anybody. Like, claps to him, bravo, hat off, you have the most makes-a-wish out of anybody. But it's like, would you be doing those make-a-wishes if they weren't documented and filmed? I don't know that I can say that I think you would, just based on a lot of the other character things that I've seen from you. Like, he's got a crazy car collection. Like, he very clearly has this very high value on money, and he kind of uses this cliche excuse of, oh, I didn't grow up with the most, so it's like I want to enjoy the finer things in life now that I can. And he doesn't want to have kids because he doesn't want to take away from shooting movies and doing all this stuff, and he knows that he wouldn't be around much. Like he can't sacrifice not filming a movie every month, not even every other month, filming a movie every month to have to start a family and everything because he wants to be out on the road, he wants to be traveling, he wants to be shooting these movies and doing all this stuff, which to each their own. Everybody live their life their own way. It's wrong for me to be judging him when he doesn't hold himself to the same values you and I do. But at the same time, like I'm not going to sit here and like tell my little cousins and everything like that he's somebody that they should look up to and aspire to be, when that's just not how I feel even in the slightest. And like with the Make-A-Wish thing, like I think back to like, Jesus criticizing the Pharisees, like praying in public doesn't make you holy. It's you're doing that to try to appear holy to the public. Like to me, he probably does those make-a-wish things to appear like the good guy to the public, to keep putting on that, that facade of being the good guy, which is like why you were saying like, a lot of these promos that he's been cutting about how awful the fans are. Like, they seem so real, and I actually think that he believes some of that. Like, he doesn't like the fans. Like, I think this is the first time that he can almost be authentic in saying some of that stuff because, like, he's heel and he's allowed to say it. He doesn't have to be the baby face anymore. So yeah, I just I got another comment on it, last week, so it brought it into my head, and I was like, I want to rant about this on the pod. So yeah, you probably strongly
Bro,
disagree, but
you are one of the biggest haters I've ever heard of John
what?
Cena. That is so crazy, and I disagree with about 95% of what you just said. The one thing I'll agree with you on is I saw some of those clips from the Bella thing. Now, on the one hand, it's like he knows he's on reality TV, and I don't really watch reality TV, but I know on like the Kardashians and like some of these other shows, people are a little more diva-ish and dramatic to make better television, and it did make better television to see John Cena acting a fool, like acting like some stuck-up prick, and that could be a case where he is changing for the camera. I would much rather him be kind of a diva with other rich people and, on that reality show and kind of be weird. And he definitely does seem weird, by the way. I will say this. I agree that I definitely think Money and Fame has changed the man.
Yeah.
And he's kind of a weirdo in that some regards. But when it comes to the Make-A-Wish stuff, like he's like every single celebrity, like most celebrities don't even do that stuff. And like the ones that do might do a couple, and they act like it's the best thing in the world when they do it one time. He has the most ever, and I don't think like the camera's always going to be there no matter what, and the kid wants the camera to be there too. I just think that like I would never accuse a dude because he doesn't have to do that. Like he doesn't have to try that hard. Like he could have done 1 or 2 or 3, but he's done like I want to say like close to 100 or something like that. And it's like, and the impact that it's actually making on these kids is worth whatever we might think about it one way or another. You know what I mean? Because it means
Yeah.
so much to those kids. And the way that he talks to them and interacts with them and is genuine with them. Like, if he is doing it to look good, then it's working and I'm okay with it because that's one of the most, that's one of the best things you can do is to help, kids in that position. And even if you're doing it for your own glory or whatever, like that kid doesn't know that kid believes it and it looks like it means a lot to the kid. I'm more so concerned about the kid getting that moment that they've always wanted than I am of what his motivation is. Now, I do think that part of his motivation is, or most of his motivation, I do think is for the kids. It is for genuine love. I mean, think about it. Would you not would you not, if you were if you were in his shoes, wouldn't you do that? Like, wouldn't you try to do that as much as possible? Like to just
Yeah, no,
give
I
back in
absolutely
some ways. You know
would.
what I
I
mean?
just don't think that makes him a good human being, is what I'm saying.
Well, I mean,
Or
yeah,
somebody to look up to.
I mean that those are very strong things. Like I'm not saying that he is one way or another, but I do think that's very admirable, especially in the world like Hollywood where people do terrible things, where you got freaking P. Diddy and, all these other people that went to Diddy parties and like all this other stuff. I don't know. I just feel like it's kind of reaching on that. But what I do think is that he is kind of weird now. He like Hollywood changed him, and hopefully not to the point of the Diddy parties, but Hollywood definitely changed him because the dude is not like he's not as cool as he used to be. And what I mean by that is it's like you know you think of like MGK when he was a rapper in Cleveland. How he was scrappy, how he was hungry, all this stuff. And now, and I'm like, I respect MGK. I'm a fan of some of his newer stuff, but he's just so weird, bro. Like, he does not look like that boy from Cleveland anymore. He doesn't act like that boy from Cleveland. He acts like some freaking Beverly Hills skater, spoiled kid. And he's cheating on Megan Fox multiple times a year, like an idiot. So, for whatever reason, some people just go to Hollywood and it changes them, or most people do. And John Cena has definitely gotten weirder and more like feminine or whatever you want to say it since going there, bougie, whatever the term is. But he's not as much of a hard ass as he used to be before he was just this movie maker. So that's one thing that's one thing I'll say is I definitely think he's weird. I definitely think those requests. I heard he had like I didn't watch that show that you're talking about with the Bella twins or whatever,
Mhm.
but I heard he had random requests in like some type of contract for women that he would date. Have you ever heard about that?
No.
And it had to do with like, or people living in his house or people he would date, like they would have to have a certain meal a week at the table some
Yeah.
way or
That's
something
what I
like
was
that.
talking about.
Yeah, that's why I thought it had something to do with that.
Yeah.
And then the other thing, here's where I will say though, here's where I'm like, okay, Cena, this is where he's kind of a heel. The man apologized to China in full-on Chinese for calling Taiwan a country. Taiwan is a country. China doesn't want it to be a country. Why are you apologizing to Chinese people that
That's
are
what I'm
wrong
saying.
about the Chinese government, really, that are wrong about Taiwan having their independence and their sovereignty?
That's what
That's
I'm
when I was
saying.
like, yo, Cena, what's up, bro? But, same thing with LeBron. I love LeBron. I think he's done a lot of good things for our community, specifically for our state. But he's also in China's pockets, right? Or other way around. China's in his pockets. I don't know how you say it. And it's like he won't criticize how his Nikes are made. So that's where I'm really frustrated with LeBron and Cena and all these celebrities that like they might do a lot of good things. They might have like a good heart for people, but then they keep their mouth shut, you know, if it messes with their money.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like the main point I was trying to make there, which I don't feel like you are actually disagreeing with, is I wouldn't want like if I had a son and my son was like, I want to be like John Cena, like sure, yeah, I want you to be like the character he portrays in the ring. But if he's watching the Bellas show for whatever reason, he's like, I want to be like John Cena. Nah, nope, I don't want you to be like
Yeah,
that
yeah,
guy.
yeah. Well, why is your
Absolutely
son
not.
watching reality television like a woman? All right.
You
That's
listen,
a
I
talk you
watch
got to
reality
have with
TV.
your. All right. Well,
To an extent, I
you're
watch
not
like
watching the
the Survivor and the
Kardashians.
Challenge. No, I don't watch the Kardashians, but I mean, like technically, Survivor and the Challenge. I mean, Survivor's not really reality
But
TV.
wasn't
Like,
that
how often are you getting stranded on an island playing games
gosh,
to see who
man,
the last person is?
way more often than I'd like, and it's exhausting. Okay.
But or like, I mean, the Challenge is technically reality TV, but still
I'll say this.
not super reality TV.
John Cena is a much better he's a much better what's the word role model to look up to than a lot of the people the kids look up to these days, like Travis Scott or some of these other buffoons that are doing stupid things. And
Lil Nas X.
exactly,
Did
yeah,
you hear what
yeah.
happened to Lil Nas X?
Nah, I just know he was twerking on the devil.
He got his face is paralyzed. Yeah,
What
he's like in
happened
the
there?
hospital right now. I don't know. I didn't pay attention to it.
Wait,
They were just
from
talking about it at work.
all right, I don't want to comment on that. We'll move on from that. But there's a couple of things coming to my mind, and I'm wondering how he got that. What I know about him.
It is that. It is that for sure. Actually, I don't know.
That's crazy. Yeah,
Yeah.
he does fencing, and that got his mask came off. Yeah. Anyway, look, man. Here's the thing. I just think fame and money can change people for sure. And I would say the only role model I'm ever gonna tell my kids to look up to is the boy JC. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm saying.
Jiminy Christmas. Yeah, I just got an
I was trying to
email.
think of celebrity that was JC, but I couldn't come up with one quick enough.
Jose Chavez.
Is that a real person?
Just made him up. Sounds like a baseball player though.
It's kind of racist,
It
but yeah, you're
sounds
right.
like that's not at all. It's just, it sounds like I actually am like,
Why
I
couldn't
think
he
I've
be a
heard that
football
name.
player? Why couldn't he be a basketball player?
He totally could have, but I'm just saying I think there might be a baseball player with that name. Any other hate you want to throw at the GOAT?
Yeah, if I was wrong with my initial statement at the beginning of this, you're not the GOAT anymore. If you don't win 17, you're not the GOAT anymore. It's Cody. Just kidding, it's not Cody. But yeah, no, seriously, if you don't win 17 by the time you retire, you're not the GOAT. I don't care anymore. Like, I'm over it.
I kind of like this GOAT talk. So why don't we keep talking about GOATs, bro?
All right.
Why don't we talk about some GOATs? And you know what? Before we get to it is NBA season. So I feel like we should maybe talk a little bit about the NBA GOAT. But real quick, before we jump into that, any other GOATs in any other sports that come to your mind? Like maybe a sport called soccer that I don't know much about?
Yes.
If you have a GOAT there, I'd love to hear your take and your rant, and then I'll see if I can come up with a fake opinion.
I don't have much of a rant on it. I just feel like it's like pretty much universally accepted at this point.
Is it
Anybody
Ronaldo?
who
Is it Messi?
okay, yeah, it's Messi. It's Messi. Anybody who like kind of says it's Ronaldo, honestly, at this point, I just kind of feel like they're delusional. I'm not even gonna lie.
Really?
Because especially a lot of like the reasoning they give, I'm like, and maybe delusional is a hard word. I like to be a little dramatic.
Be dramatic. That's what this is about. This is entertainment, bro.
Yeah,
Don't
you're
hold back.
delusional,
Don't hold
idiots.
back.
But yeah,
Stupid.
it's just like the Ronaldo stuff. Like, I'm like, okay, you're either a Madrid fan and you don't want to accept how good Messi was, or you just play a lot of FIFA and use Ronaldo a lot and, just still don't want to accept how good Messi really is. Like, Ronaldo's up there. He's probably number 2. Like, don't get me wrong. He is an incredible player. He's definitely one of the greatest of all time. But, he had to do all the step overs and, all this and that. And Messi, like, still almost has as many goals as him. And has like significantly more assists. Messi's won literally every major trophy there is to win. He's never won the Euros because he's not from a European country. He's from South America, so like he can't compete in the Euros. So a lot of people want to trash on him because he's never won that. He's won a freaking World Cup. Ronaldo's never even played in a World Cup final. Messi's played in 2. He's won Champions Leagues. He's won more Ballon d'Ors. Ballon d'Or is like greatest player in the world. Messi's won more of those than Ronaldo has, and he's one of them more recently than Ronaldo has. So it's like last year, who won the Ballon d'Or? This dude Rodri. He's a midfielder for Man City. The year before, like we're talking 2 years ago, Messi won it. Messi is hands down the GOAT. I almost won't even get into it. Like I'll get into an MJ LeBron conversation, but I won't get into a Messi Ronaldo conversation because the Ronaldo fan is just delusional. Like it.
So is that who? I mean, those are the 2 names I know. Besides, like Beckham, who has not been in the league for a long time. I know he's nowhere near the GOAT though, right? So like, who are like the top 5 then, or who's the top 3? Like
the top 4 I can give
Okay.
you is Messi, Ronaldo, Pele, and Maradona are probably the
Pele.
4 that are considered. 3 of them from South American countries: Pele, Brazil; Maradona, Argentina; Messi, Argentina; and Ronaldo, Portugal. So there's probably some Europeans that I'm missing out there, but I feel like when most people talk about the greatest players of all time, those are the 4 that they mention. And it's usually Pele is considered the GOAT because he scored 1,000 goals, but it's like a lot of his goals were undocumented. Like they weren't when they were still when there was a stat keeping era. So it's like some people believe they were fabricated. Some people are like, well, he was scoring like 8 goals a game in Brazil's league, but it's like Brazil's league wasn't nearly what these other leagues are.
Right.
And like Maradona went and played in Europe, so he's definitely up there. But yeah, I would say that those are the 4 that most people talk about when they consider the GOATs. Ronaldinho is also a fair shout. Again, another Brazilian guy. I don't think that he gets a ton of respect in the GOAT debate, but like he's one of the people that kind of changed the game. And a lot of people were in love with Ronaldinho when he was first doing his thing. So, but I feel like typically nowadays the GOAT debate is Messi and Ronaldo, and I think that the vast majority of people are on Team Messi because it's just the obvious answer. It's the truth.
It's the truth. And I'm going to go with you on that. I'm going to trust you on that one. If I could have a close second, though, I think he would be Beyonce. Do you remember Beyonce from Kicking and Screaming with Will Ferrell?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yep. Yeah, the short Asian boy on the team. I think he could be up there if someone gives him a shot. But he was very valuable to that team. And, the way that Kicking and Screaming, the movie goes, which if you guys haven't watched it, definitely check it out. It's life-changing. If it wasn't for him just creating that spark, then they might have only won, 2 games instead of 4.
It's true. That's true. And if we're talking about life-changing movies, you got to talk about Step Brothers, dude. That was the first movie. I remember watching that with you. That's the first movie that ever like made me laugh. Like the entire time I was just laughing.
It was
Such
so
a good
good.
movie. Such a good movie.
I remember watching that in your living room, and you had to like, it was on demand, and we had to pay for it. And we asked your mom if we could like get it.
Yep.
And I think I knew I had to watch it at your place because I wasn't going to be able to watch it at my place.
Yeah.
My parents never let me do on demand, and they wouldn't let me watch rated R. So I was like, hey,
I was surprised
Stephanie,
we were allowed to watch it.
don't tell my parents. I don't think she told my parents.
I don't think she knew how bad it was going to be for like, because we were young, dude.
Yeah,
that
we
was
were very young.
before like I had ever went to the movies by myself. And I think when I went to the movies by myself, I was like 12.
Yeah.
So we were pretty young.
We probably shouldn't have seen that at that point.
But
it was
great.
So funny.
Yeah.
What about this? Let's see. Other GOATs. UFC. Do you have strong opinions on this one? Because this is one that I have pretty strong opinions on.
I don't have a super strong opinion on it. See, for me, UFC goes a couple of different factors. To me, like my GOAT, it's not an actual GOAT, but he is my GOAT. It's Conor, bro. It's got to be Conor. For what he did for the UFC, for what he did for the sport. And I think had he never had that Floyd fight, I think he would have been... He would be more respected when it comes to the GOAT debate. But I think that Floyd fight, he just made too much money, and he kind of lost that drive and that want to be a killer in the octagon. But if I'm talking like dude that I actually wouldn't want to fight, like even if he was my size, like it's gotta be Jon Jones. It's gotta be Jon Jones. I think that dude, no matter how big he is, how big or small he is, he's beating the crap out of whoever is across from him.
Is there anyone that comes close to him? Like, would you have a top 3?
But yeah, my next one, I don't even want to. I hate that it's this person, but it's Khabib
Yeah, I know. Wait, why do you hate that it's that person?
because he beat Connor.
He did beat Connor pretty bad.
Yeah, I mean, so to be fair, he beat pretty much everybody else worse. It took
Way
him 4
worse.
rounds to get Connor out of there,
For sure.
but he dominated against Connor.
Yeah, I've just never seen Connor get dominated like that.
Yeah,
And I've seen Connor get knocked out or, misstep, but that was like Connor could not figure him out, man. He had a few good moments, but that dude Khabib is just different, bro.
yeah.
I would agree with you there.
A lot of people are trying to say Islam is now that guy. I don't think Islam's that guy. I think if Islam and Khabib were to fight, I think Khabib would dog walk him, but we'll never see it.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll never see it. And also he's fairly young still, right? So it's like he's got a long way to go. He could get to that level or even surpass him. But yeah, we'll see. What about do you have a number 3? And then I kind of want to give my take on this one.
Actual number 3, yeah, I'm gonna go one that you're probably not expecting. It's GSP.
Okay.
Dude was dominant, and he was one of the OGs in the scene. So I think it's got to be GSP. So it'd be John Jones, Khabib, or Habib, and then GSP. Also, an honorable mention: Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson. He's got to be an honorable mention.
Wow, yeah. It's a good one. Yeah, so here's my thing. Like I'm started watching probably when Brock went over, right? When Brock went over and he had his first fight against Frank Mir and like left WWE to actually do UFC, that was like when I first got into it, right? And that was the era of like Chuck Liddell and Tito Ortiz, GSP and BJ Penn, like you'd mentioned. And then there was this new guy or newer guy in the UFC at the time that was establishing himself pretty well. And I remember watching this fight, and he was fighting, I'm not going to say the name yet, but he was fighting a guy named, I just lost the name. But it was like it was on Spike TV, so it was like a free event. It was not a pay-per-view. And it's the first round, and they're just kind of dancing around, and he gets in a few hits on his opponents, and then his opponent throws up a body kick. He grabs it and holds the leg up and then jabs right in the face and knocks him out cold. That was Anderson Silva that knocked him out.
He was gonna be one that I put up there, but he just has so many losses. I felt like
So Anderson Silva screwed himself out of being the GOAT because he was unstoppable. He was like, I mean, there was a time where he was untouchable. I'm trying to look at some of his stats right now. His middleweight reign, so he had 10 title defenses in a row during like a golden age of the UFC. He was unbeaten for 7 years, and most of his wins came by finish. Yeah, so this is a criticism someone said. He wasn't hugging people for 5 rounds. John Jones does get some criticism for some of his fights where he would grapple and wrestle and not finish them off and just kind of like, but John Jones is legit. So here's the thing. Anderson Silva was destroying everyone in the middleweight class. Then he went up to light heavyweight and was still destroying everyone. And the point in time where he ruined his career is when he got way too cocky. He had a fight against Chris Weidman, and Chris Weidman was doing terrible. And Anderson Silva was mocking him. Anderson Silva was getting so cocky, and he was always a little cocky in the ring or in the cage, but he got so cocky, pretended to get knocked out. He was like, and then Weidman actually threw a punch and actually knocked him out cold.
Yeah.
And it was crazy. But Silva had what was coming to him. He got way too cocky. He could have ended the fight in 10 seconds. Instead, he decided to do that. The only other time in his career that Anderson Silva was ever in danger of losing in the UFC, because he had some amateur losses like early in his career, but in the UFC was Chael Sonnen was dominating him for 4.5 rounds. If you go back and watch that fight, Chael Sonnen against Anderson Silva, Chael was destroying him for 4.5 rounds, and he got so exhausted, and Silva had him in a full guard, and Silva's taking punches, and then Chael's getting tired, and then Silva gets him in a triangle choke, taps out, and he retained the title. It was just insane. Like, he took a beating for 4.5 rounds and waited and then won. Like, that was the only time he'd ever clearly been beaten. And so if it wasn't for that Weidman thing, because if you remember the very next fight, he had a rematch against Weidman because Dana White was pissed. Everyone's pissed. They're like, why would you do this? Like, you should be the champion still. You screwed around and you got caught, right? So
Yep.
the next fight he comes around and is more respectful, but he goes for a leg kick, and then that's when his
Snaps.
leg snaps, wraps around, and he was just never the same.
Yeah.
But so
He's up
for
there though. I'll give you that.
yeah, so for me, in my mind, if we lived in a perfect world, Anderson Silva would be the GOAT. He would have been the GOAT. Like he was just, and I do think that if Silva never screwed around, because also mentally he was defeated after that.
Mm-hmm.
Mentally he was like, I'm not invincible anymore.
The confidence got shaken.
Yeah. So like if we could have seen prime Anderson Silva versus prime John Jones, gosh, that would just be an amazing fight. We're never going to see it. I think that if they fought 10 times, Silva would win 6 out of 10 times and John would win 4. And that's just because I'm more confident in the knockout power than the striking power of Silva, and they both have good grappling and ground skills, ground game. John would definitely is bigger. He would have an advantage on the ground, but Silva was just so quick with it, man. And I don't think Jones ever saw anyone as quick as Silva. And Jones has fought a lot of great people. And Jones also lost.
Clipping this, and I'm sending it to John Jones.
Please do. The other thing too is John Jones had so many drugs.
That's true.
He kept getting in so much trouble. Now, was he ever doing performance?
Most of those guys do PEDs. Yes, he was doing PEDs.
They were PEDs?
But most
Okay.
of those guys do.
Yeah, I guess.
Have you ever watched the movie? It's the movie about the Russia getting past doing drugs in the Olympics. I can't remember what it's called. Spartacus, maybe?
Rocky IV?
No, that's a fictional movie. This is a documentary about how
it's a documentary.
They pulled it off. I can't remember exactly what it's called.
I'm not sure. I don't know. But while you're thinking of that, I'll finish with my top 3 on this, and
I'll
then we can
Google
move
it,
on.
and then you finish your top 3.
I'll start at So I definitely think I'll do top 5. How about this? Starting at number 5, I'm gonna go with Georges St-Pierre, GSP, 5th greatest of all time. You mentioned him, and that was another fight we were robbed of because of Silva's stupidity. GSP was actually going to go up a weight class at welterweight, and they were going to do a super fight between GSP and Silva. Now, it was never like official, but they've been talking about it for years, and Dana was like, we want to start giving fans more, of what they want in some of these super fights that they keep asking for. And if Silva would have retained his title and GSP would have been game to move up to middleweight for a fight, they would have had that fight. So I'm going to go GSP at 5. I'm going purely off of like win skill and like dominance in the cage. 4, Conor McGregor. I mean, double champion, just like unstoppable first ever, unstoppable for a long amount of time. Just such like just an amazing fighter, entertainer, like all the things. And he's Irish, which I love. We have some Irish in us, not as much as I would have hoped when I found out, but still got to do the DNA test. So we'll see. Have you done one of those, by the way? We should definitely, we should talk about that offline. We should do some DNA tests to get the full, see what
figure it out.
Yeah, figure it out. Cause I'd like to be more Irish than I say I am.
I like to be some African.
Yeah. That would be great too. A lot of perks to that, actually.
Maybe it'll, never mind.
South African. Yeah. All right. Yep. So, okay. So 5 is GSP, 4 is Conor, 3. And I know this person probably deserves to go higher. Okay. 3, I'll put Anderson Silva at 3. I'm going to put Anderson Silva at number 3, actually, just because of the way his career ended. Again, in an ideal world, I think he's number 1, but because of the way his career ended, I gotta put him there. He lost his touch, and then he kept fighting too much, and then he ended up boxing. If you're boxing Jake Paul, like as a UFC champion, and getting, dude, it's just like you've ruined your legacy.
Yeah.
Mike Tyson is different, but if you're like Tyron Woodley and Anderson Silva, I'm like, guys, you guys are old, and like he's picking you because you're big.
So Tyron Woodley was not nearly as old as Anderson Silva was.
No.
And Anderson Silva didn't get knocked out; he got dropped. But Tyron Woodley got knocked.
He got knocked out cold. So 3 is Anderson Silva. 2, and you're gonna want to send this to Mr. Jones. 2 is John Jones, because
so then I think number 1 has to.
Out of respect for the game, the dominance, the career, the dedication, never getting into any trouble really outside of the brawl after one of the fights with McGregor. Khabib. Number 1. And I know it's not the sexy choice. I know it's not like the, but
he never lost.
He never lost, and he never stopped fighting. And also just like his people, they're so they are warriors because like they're fighting to like they have this like mentality that they have to fight to live and survive. And it's just unlike anything I've ever seen. And even though I was not a fan of his, and I wanted Connor to win, and I didn't like how that was handled, I do respect the dedication and just the devotion to the craft and the sport and the dominance that he had, man, because no one really ever came close. Like Gagey had a good fight. Connor had some moments, but it was
Connor was
never
the
even
closest
close.
out of
I think
anybody
Connor
ever.
might have been the closest, yeah. And that wasn't even Connor was already kind of like that was after the Floyd fight. So yeah, so I wonder if a locked in Connor could have gotten closer. I still think Khabib
I
probably would
do
have
think a
won, but
locked in Connor would have smoked him. Not smoked him, but I think he would have won.
he would
I
have had a
think he would
chance
have
for
won.
sure. He would have had a much better. It would have been a better fight.
I think he would have won. And if he wouldn't have won, I think he would have disciplined up, got his wrestling up, and been able to get redemption in a rematch. That movie, by the way, was called Icarus. That's what I was gonna say originally. I don't know why I didn't.
Okay.
But yeah, it's called Icarus. And it kind of just shows how like pretty much all professional athletes can get past the drug test. Like it's super easy to get that out of your system for those tests. So yeah, all the pro athletes are doing it. LeBron,
Right.
he's doing PED.
Well, maybe we should look into it. Maybe we should do it. Does it help podcasting?
Probably not. It's not going to make us more entertaining.
Well, you said it, brother. You said the name. So why don't we, the last one as far as the GOAT conversation goes that I want to talk about, and I think we agree pretty heavily on this one.
Yeah, which is why I'm feeling like this isn't going to be much of a conversation.
Okay, so then why don't we just go through and say why real quick?
Yeah.
Who's the GOAT in the NBA, Jacob?
Is LeBron James for genuinely just one reason and one reason only. He's from Akron, Ohio. Enough said. Like, if you know anything about Akron, if you've been there before, you get what I'm saying. Plain and simple.
Yeah, you understand
No,
that
but,
a Galley Boy, Swenson's, and some Goodyear tire is a great recipe to become an amazing basketball player. Didn't work for us, but
that's why. Anyway, but yeah, the argument I make when I'm trying to tell people about how good LeBron is, it's like if me and you are gonna go play pickup basketball, and like we're not just going to play pickup basketball because like we're super competitive and like we just want to beat whoever we're playing across against. Like we enjoy playing basketball. Like we want to play some ball. If me and you are going to play pickup basketball, who are we going to pick? MJ or LeBron? Like we're actually trying to play. We're actually trying to get some shots up, but at the same time, if you tell me you don't mind losing, like you're either lying or you're genuinely just not competitive in any way, shape, or form whatsoever. Even when I do go play pickup basketball, I want to win. I don't want to lose. And I definitely don't want to get my butt whooped. So if me and you are going to play pickup basketball and we're the captains, or like one of us is the captain and we got the choice, MJ or LeBron, we're picking LeBron. He's more versatile. You can say what you want about their defense. They're probably comparable when it comes to defense. I would argue LeBron is a better defender because of the blocking ability, the chase downs, Iguodala for the layup, blocked by James. It still gives me chills. And then just his overall, like he's an overall better basketball player. So anybody can, it's like the same thing I'm talking about with the Messi debate. Ronaldo has more goals, sure, but Messi is a more complete player. Messi's going to make all the people around him better, whereas Ronaldo and Michael, they're going to increase the numbers on the scoreboard. That's all. That's what they're there to do. That's their main thing that they're looking to achieve, is increasing the numbers on the scoreboard. LeBron and Messi are making the entire team around them better. Doesn't matter what position you are playing, they're making you better. LeBron's a better rebounder. LeBron's a better assister. He's got more points overall. Sure, he played more games, but he's got more points, and he's not even considered a scorer. And I know there's I've watched a lot of videos on like all these different metrics and everything, and MJ leads them all. But again, the point that I make, the point that I always point people back to is, if you're going to play pickup basketball and you actually want to play, you don't want to just, hop in somebody's backpack and let them carry you to a win. Who you picking, MJ or LeBron? You're picking LeBron.
I'm 100% with you, brother. Just on top of that, LeBron is also a better dresser. He's more fashionable than MJ. He dances better. He sings better. He makes better commercials.
He didn't have to make up some stupid story about having the flu for a playoff game just to try to make his legacy better. We all know you were hungover, MJ. Just admit it.
Dang,
I said it.
You did say it. Yeah, I'm with you, man. I'll go through here. I actually have a few things that I pulled up, just a couple reasons as to why LeBron is the GOAT over MJ. Okay. Number one, talk about it right now. How old is LeBron James?
40.
40 years old. The dude has been elite for 2 decades. Okay, MJ had 13 years of dominance, right? And he had a couple breaks in between. LeBron has been going nonstop for 20, 21 years, however long it's been. And LeBron also dropped a 40-point game in his 20th year.
Yeah. Dude's been in the NBA longer than he hasn't been in the NBA.
I mean, I've been watching so many. Skip Bayless is going viral right now because he did one of those Jubilee videos or whatever it was, where he sits in the middle and he has all these fans come up and tell, and he's literally getting cooked by every single one of them.
I gotta watch that. I saw that.
It was so good. I mean, and they keep bringing up Jordan was out there playing for the Wizards, trying to not to pop a hamstring in his, not late 30s or mid 30s or whatever. So it's like the longevity, LeBron's there for sure. As you said, all around game. I mean, people say that MJ was the greatest scorer, but who holds a scoring title? You know what I'm saying? And who also has more assists and rebounds? Like LeBron has better stats all around than Jordan when it comes to, rebounds, assists, scoring, just like all the in-game stats, right? And he can play, he's played every position. He's played point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, and center. And he can guard all of those. So it's literally like someone said, it's like if Magic Johnson, Karl Malone, and Jordan were like fused together into one like beast of a player.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it is. And so, let me put some stats real quick. We already know the all-time leading scorer. So he's top 5 in assists. He has over 10,000 rebounds. Yeah, I mean, like you could build a whole spreadsheet off of all these things, right? And the other thing too is like a lot of the argument is, well, Jordan was 6-0 in the finals. They don't talk about how he was. Sure, yeah. I mean, they do the championship argument. Then they don't talk about how he was like 1-9 in the playoffs before he ever even got to the finals, and like 1-9 in playoff games, right? And so, I mean, you think about like doing more with less, dude. Do you remember 2007?
Mm-hmm.
When LeBron dragged that team kicking and screaming? It was basically like you're talking about pickup basketball. It's like a squad he found at the local YMCA and was like, hey, you guys want to come play basketball in Cleveland for a year?
Dude, I remember my aunts being so excited for the Cavs to be in the playoffs, and I was so young that I didn't understand like what the hype was. And now that I got older, I'm like, oh wow, like that was crazy. Like I wish I would have been a little older to be able to have appreciated that. But yeah, it's gross.
You and I,
and he had to play against a dynasty team. Like the Spurs, that was like one of the longest tenured teams that has ever existed in the NBA, and they had arguably the greatest coach in NBA history.
Exactly. And then as you fast forward 10 years later, he did the same thing with the 2018 Cavs. After we lost Kyrie, and that terrible trade that just like totally ruined the Cavs. I mean, our point guard was, who was it? George Hill?
Isaiah Thomas. Well,
Isaiah Thomas, but that was terrible. But then by the playoffs, you had like George Hill.
Mm-hmm.
I remember us hoping that like, that Rodney Hood was going to come around and like Jordan Clarkson and Larry Nance Jr. Like we were excited to have these guys. It's like
just such bad players.
Man.
I mean, LeBron is still in the NBA, and all of these guys that you just talked about are not.
And that 2018 finals run was all him, bro. We went 7 games in round 1 with the Pacers. Then we swept Toronto because they were never ever going to have a chance.
It's LeBronto.
And then the Celtics game 7, like 7 games, and thank God for LeBron and Jeff Green having a great game there and the fact that I'm saying Jeff Green in an Eastern Conference Finals game 7. Like, that's how bad this team
almost won game 1 in the finals. If it wasn't for J.R. Smith's blunder, they would have won game 1.
LeBron would have won that game on his own. He had 51 points. He had like almost a triple-double. He was dominating, man.
Yes.
But so think about all that, right? And all those scrub teams that LeBron had and that he dragged to the finals or dragged through the playoffs. Like, MJ had his coach.
Hall of Famers.
Yeah, he had like an amazing coach, right?
Arguably the second greatest coach of all time.
Exactly.
Arguably the greatest coach of all time. Like, if you're talking greatest coaches of all time, it's either Phil Jackson or Greg Popovich.
Exactly. And so he had Phil Jackson, one of the greatest coaches ever, maybe the greatest, and then Scottie Pippen, all in the same system for 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then like LeBron, wherever he went, as far as his Cleveland teams go, LeBron was the system. And even if you look at the Heat teams, like if you look at
still the system then.
Yeah, if you look at like D Wade's health towards some of those playoff runs, and like Chris Bosh, like they were a great team. They had the big 3 and everything, but like LeBron was still carrying them. Like he was number 1 for sure, and it is nowhere near what KD and the Warriors had. Like that was nothing.
Yeah.
That was a cheat code.
Yeah, MJ never had to go up against a team like that, those Warriors teams.
Yeah,
Like
never.
Steph Curry, the greatest three-point shooter of all time. Klay Thompson, one of the greatest three-point shooters of all time. Kevin Durant, one of the greatest scorers in NBA history. And Draymond, while he was still pretty much in his peak, able to score, able to play defense. He was kicking dude in the nuts. Like,
Yeah.
crazy team.
So here's the teams that have knocked LeBron out of the finals or playoffs, right?
Let me see if I can name them.
Go ahead.
I can name them for sure.
Yeah, name the finals ones. You'll know the finals.
Spurs, the Mavericks, the Spurs, the Warriors. That's it.
And the Warriors again. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the Warriors beat him 3 times. Only, the 1 year Kyrie got hurt in game 1, right? And then him and Matthew Dellavedova, won 2 out of 6 games. And then the next year we won in the greatest championship comeback of all time.
Real quick, let me ask you a question. How many times has Michael Jordan come back from a 3-1 deficit in the NBA Finals?
Oh, let me think. I'd have to count 0 times. Only.
Right.
Actually, I think, Jacob, only one team has ever done that. I think
No
actually,
way,
and I think
bro.
actually, you know what? You know who I think was on that team, and the leader of that team, and the MVP of that finals?
Matthew Dellavedova. Oh, no.
Close. They look alike.
LeBron James.
LeBron James, absolutely, man. I mean,
Do you
LeBron
remember
James.
LeBron James? Do you remember that?
I do remember that. That's why I haven't heard that in forever.
Dude, that was one of the best nights ever, dude.
That's like you just unlocked a
Big
deep-seated
throwback, dude.
memory that no one's gonna understand.
No.
But that's
Wesley will.
okay.
If he watches, he'll understand.
So with the teams you mentioned, though, I mean, think of that: the Spurs and the Warriors with KD. The only team where it's like, it's like not as impressive is that Mavericks team. But it was also his first year in Miami, and they had Dirk. And I think Jason Terry was on the team at the time going off. So they still had a pretty good squad, but that's the only
Was Vince Carter
team.
on that team?
He might have been. I really can't even remember that roster. That was the year I was hating on LeBron because he had just left us. So I was just so happy that they, but yeah, man. So I just think I don't think MJ's finals opponents were like that. Cause can you even name who he played in the finals? No, I can't even think about it. So, and I'm not even gonna look it up because who cares?
Yeah, who cares?
But yeah, he never look. And then look. Actually, the last thing I'll say is the 52-year curse of Cleveland sports, the pain and suffering and the misery that we felt in that city all that time, and then he left, and we felt hopeless again. Like the fact that it was literally like Return of the Jedi. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
It's like. I mean, except it's Anakin and Luke in one, right? Or no, actually, no, it's Anakin, right? Because at the end, Darth Vader ends up being good. But it's like he leaves and we see him thriving and we're just like so angry and jealous. And then like 4 years later, we're like, man, he's a free agent and we really kind of miss him.
Like, could he come back?
And I remember.
Like, no way he comes back.
I remember where I was.
You called me when it happened.
I think I did call you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I called everyone.
And then I turned the TV on and was like, no way.
Dude. Yeah, I remember it was like, I want to say it was like July 2nd or 3rd or so. I don't know. It was July of 2014. I was sleeping. I woke up. Actually, my dad had called me and he was like, Glenn, turn the TV on. I was like, huh? He's like, turn the TV on. And then I woke up. I turned the TV on and it was Brian Windhorst and Chris Broussard on ESPN on SportsCenter saying like, and the headline at the bottom said, LeBron James returning to Cleveland. I get chills thinking about it.
Yep.
And then I remember calling you. I called you and I called Ben and Brandon, my high school friends, Beto, Luca, and Ben, you know them. And it was just like, it was so crazy.
Yeah.
And then 2 years later, when we're down 3-1, it was like, it felt like all hope was lost.
Dude, just those summer nights, man, going over to Ashton and Silas.
That's right, on that back porch.
Ashton Silas is on the back porch watching the games. They're down 3-1, and we're like, all right, well, we can at least watch the game, and then, we'll go play basketball at the church. And,
yeah, that's right.
And they win, and we're all like, yeah, we're not dead yet. And then they win again, and everyone's like, oh, we're going to 7. Hey, that's all we wanted. We just wanted to go to 7. We wanted to make it a series. We didn't want to get our butts whooped. We didn't want to lose in 6 again. And now it's a series. Kyrie and LeBron are going for 60 points combined each game, and then game 7, just that last, minute and a half, just so much stuff.
I think it was 4 minutes. 4 minutes, no one scored.
No one scored, and then Kyrie hits that step back, and a couple moments later, Iguodala's going down for that layup, and Bron comes out of nowhere and swats it. Like, dude,
Back to
so
Iguodala.
good.
Or wait, what did he say? He's like, Iguodala up for the layup and blocked by James.
Yep.
It was
Oh,
crazy.
so
To
good.
Curry, back to Iguodala, up for the layup and blocked by James. That was insane, dude. It was like that block changes everything.
Yeah.
That extra effort, and that's another thing that LeBron is known for. That how crazy is it that his chase down, like signature chase down block, becomes a defining moment that like saves like the hope for the city of Cleveland to win a championship, and then
Yeah.
Kyrie busts that three when we didn't need three.
Well,
But we'll
did
take
Kyrie
three.
hit the 3 before it?
Did he hit it before it? I think he hit it after it.
Maybe you're.
I
It's
can't
been
remember.
so long
Either
since I
way,
watched that bit.
regardless, the reason that he shot that three, and he said it later because we were like, we only needed two. It was tied. Why'd you shoot the three? He said, I shot the three because I knew Steph was going to shoot a three, and he was bound to make one at some point.
And that was a tough shot too. Like Steph was actually playing good defense. Steph was on him.
The best defense he's ever played.
Best defense he's probably ever played on a one-on-one like that.
Yeah, because they picked
And
and rolled. They
Kyrie
got
just
Clay off of him.
swished
Yep.
it, bro.
That's the thing. They got Clay off of him. They had the pick and roll. They had the matchup that they wanted, and Steph was actually really, really tough D, and Kyrie he just knew it.
Yeah.
But that moment alone, it's over. It's over. Cleveland is the city of champions once again.
Once again.
LeBron
Yeah.
falling to the floor crying. That, like, he broke a generational curse, what felt like a generational curse.
That he had lived through. Like, again, he grew up in Akron. He grew up in Northeast Ohio.
Yep.
Like, he understood that. He's a Browns fan. Like, sure, there was a moment in time where he was calling himself a Cowboys fan. But he's since come out and be like, yeah, I don't know what that was about. Like, I'm Browns fan. Like, he, you know, when he was in Cleveland, he was going to the Guardians or Indians World Series matchup. Like, he's a Northeast Ohio kid at heart. Like, still, if you look at any of his Instagram posts, just a kid from Akron, just a kid from Akron, just a kid from Akron. Like, he experienced what all of those miserable years were like. And he was the guy to break the curse and to bring a championship back to Cleveland. Like, storybook ending, man.
It's incredible. He left and came back. Like, he came back. He was living in Miami, which I was just in Miami. Amazing city. A lot of fun. Very great food.
Good weather.
Good weather, you know, beautiful scenery. Just like, yeah, it's incredible. And he was living there comfortably for 4 years, and he won 2 championships. And they were still a good team. I know they had that rough year against the Spurs that year, but like, he could have stayed there the rest of his career. But he literally came back to Cleveland. Like, no one does that.
Yeah.
And after he left, it hurt so bad that it made it so much more special when he came back.
It did.
And no one's ever done that, and no one will probably ever do that again. Like, I mean, like, I just don't think there'll ever be another story in sports like that.
Yeah. It'll be tough.
And I'm getting emotional thinking about it.
Yeah.
It's just like amazing. But I think that story, that championship, that one championship alone, and obviously we're biased because we're from that area. We know what it means to the city, to our friends, our family, just our whole community. But that one championship, I think, was harder than any other championship that
For sure.
him or MJ had.
For sure.
And down 3-1
against one of the greatest teams of all time.
Yeah.
We didn't even talk about it, bro. That was the 73-9 Warriors, dude. They broke the 72-10, record set by the Bulls.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
The Bulls and MJ.
That's right.
They were 73-9. And then, you hear all this, don't mean a thing without a ring. They're even saying it. The Warriors are saying, don't mean a thing without a ring. We're focused on the championship. We got to win the championship. And then they lose that season. They had single-digit losses in the regular season and lost to the Cavs.
Exactly. And so that's the hardest championship ever. And then the 2 easiest championships ever were the following 2 when they went and got KD. You were already one of the greatest teams ever. And you already won a championship with this roster. And then you go out and you get the second greatest player on earth at the time.
Yeah.
It was just like, it was such a weak move from all of them. Like, those are such a wash. I don't even like, it just blows my mind that, like, I don't know. I mean, for the fans, I guess, like, look, if we had a super team, I would still like it anyway. But it doesn't mean nearly as much because, it was a handout. Like, it was so easy. It's just like, it's literally on 2K when you make all your players at like level 100% on your franchise mode.
I mean, you had
You
had 2 of the top 3 players in the NBA.
Yeah.
And Steph Curry and KD.
Yeah. Yeah. And Steph's going to go down and
then 4 of the top 10. Like,
exactly.
Draymond and Clay were in the top 10 players in the NBA at that time.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure, for sure. And yeah, and Steph and KD are going to go in top 10 of all time.
Yeah.
So it's just incredible. But anyway, LeBron's a GOAT. So shout out to our GOATs real quick. We got John Cena is the
Messi,
GOAT. We got, how do you say, Lionel Messi? Lionel. I always think of Lionel Richie.
Lionel.
We got John Cena, Lionel Messi. We got, well, we disagreed on this one, but we got John Jones or Khabib. And then finally, the
LeBron
undisputed NBA champion of all time, the GOAT, the one and only, the kid from Akron. Hashtag just a kid from Akron. Hashtag strive for greatness. LeBron James. Yeah. Well, that's about all I have. Jacob, is there anything else, as we're kind of closing, any clothing thoughts? How ironic is that? Any closing thoughts as we
That is
close?
pretty ironic. We have been going for a minute here, so I'm feeling like
we can save some stuff for next week too.
Yeah, we can save it for another day, and I'll think of a better way to articulate it, so maybe you aren't so upset
I'm not upset. I'm just a diplomatic individual.
Okay.
And I probably agree with you on a lot of things, but we can cut this little part. We're just talking about finances and taxes. I hope you did your taxes. And folks, if you didn't, it's so easy. TurboTax. I just wanted to pretend we're sponsored by something. What if I read like a little sponsor?
I would cut it because we're not sponsored.
Well, it's past tax time, so if you haven't done your taxes, call Frankie down the street. Frankie's our buddy. You can call him at 330-794-4318.
Bro, how did you know Frankie, and how did you know that was his phone number?
Because he's helped me with my taxes because I forgot to file them. What Frankie does is he goes to the IRS, he tells them to shove it, and, he uses your name. And they come to your door.
And arrest you.
Frankie gets $20 for every single one that signs up. So sign up today. Frankie down the street.
Dude, that reminds me, there's this Mexican comedian guy. I'm sure you've probably seen him before. I don't know what his name is.
I've never seen a Mexican.
That's crazy. You need to get out of the house more. But he was doing this bit. He was like, yeah, now ICE is offering, vouchers for any undocumented person that you know. So like they're trying to bribe you to snitch. And then he gives a pause. He's like, I mean, I called him before I came here and said there's going to be at least 20 at the show. It was so funny, dude.
Yeah, that's good. That's funny. Yeah. Yeah, man. The comedy scene, it's a good time.
Comedy's getting back, man. People are getting less offended by things.
Yeah, and you know what? But even if they are, like, there's always going to be an audience for everything. Like Andrew Schulz said it best, I think, and this is a good closing statement on my end because I'm falling asleep. Been a long day, but I think with comedy, as you and I are not easily offended, right? We get offended if you talk bad about LeBron, but
or JC.
That's right, yeah. But even with there, we can, as long as it's not hateful, but like we can take like lighthearted jabs. We talked about roasting each other before. That clip went viral. It's got millions of views. But people can like whatever they want to like and dislike whatever they want to dislike. They can be offended by whatever they think is offensive, and they totally have the right to do that. That's why if I'm like making a joke and I'm pretty clean on stage, but behind closed doors, if I make like an edgier joke or something and it offends someone, they have every right to be offended. Like if they think I cross the line, they have every right to be offended, right? But what they can't do is tell me that I can't say something or that I have to stop doing that because I offended them.
Yeah.
And so, look, in comedy or in life, if you're going to be yourself, be authentically you, you're probably going to offend someone at some point, whether you mean to or not. And I'm not saying go out and be hateful and say a bunch of crazy, edgy things. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm just saying, like, I got to a point where I'm not trying to please anyone. I'm trying to honor God. I'm trying to, love others. And here and there, I might make some jokes or I might say some things or have some hot takes or opinions or whatever. And people might be offended by it. That's never my intention, but it is their right to be offended. It's my right to think and say what I want to think and say. And if I ever feel that I personally did cross a line, I will apologize immediately. But if I make a joke or if I make, like with politics is a big one, right? Like I'm a very centrist, moderate individual. I swing with the wind, wherever the wind's taking me, wherever my emotions are at the time and the issues at the time. But I'm going to joke about you if you're a Democrat, you're a liberal. I'm going to joke about you if you're a Republican, you're a conservative, right? I'm going to joke about you if you're a libertarian or whatever the heck they call the people that, we're going to vote for RFK before he, decided going with Donnie T. Yeah. So anyway, people, look, if you're offended, you have every right to be, but you know,
Suck it up.
don't go see that comedian. I would say suck it up. And if you don't like that, then don't listen to me. If you don't like a comedian and you don't think they're funny, hey, guess what? Go see a different comedian, or just don't go see that comedian, right? If you don't like a song, you're not going to be like, hey, yeah, that guy like sucks so bad. No one should listen to him. He's a terrible person. No, you're going to be like, hey, that's not for me.
If you don't like that song, don't hit the like button on Spotify and add it to your liked songs. Like, that's simple.
And you know what? If you're offended by this podcast or you don't like this podcast, do us a favor just to show how much you hate us, and go ahead and like and subscribe and share this so that other people can get offended too.
And leave us a hate comment just so we know how much we annoyed you.
Yeah, because we want to know. Because look, we might be sorry, but we're probably not.
Definitely not. I'm not. He might be. I'm not.
And with that, love thy neighbor as thyself. Go in peace. Love one another. Folks, happy Passover to our Jewish friends. Happy Easter to our Christian friends and to our children that love bunny rabbits and Easter egg hunts. A happy Resurrection Sunday, because this is coming out the Monday after that. And then happy whatever's after that, I guess. Springtime and summer. This has been a lot of fun. Shout out to the goats. Jacob, I'll let you wrap this up.
Yeah, thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. Share it with your friends, man. We're trying to blow up and make a ton of cash. Just kidding.
I need
If we do
cash.
1,000 episodes and we still don't make any money, guess what? We'll do 1,000 more.
It's not about the money.
Yeah, no, it's not about the money.
It's about the 3 people listening.
It's about the 3 people listening and just getting to, have a conversation with my bro.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't know if I mentioned it, but like in one of my meetings with my pastor about getting baptized, he like asked me, he was like, so like, what he was like, I'm not trying to offend you. He was like, but like, what makes it a podcast? Like, what makes it like not just like like a weekly phone call with your brother? I was like, I'm gonna be honest with you, that's pretty much all it is.
Kind of what it is.
Yeah, it's kind of what it is. We just kind of have cameras going and microphones and put it out on the internet for people to listen to.
Exactly.
So,
that's
yeah.
a great way to do it. And we try to, that's so true. Thanks for joining our phone call today.
Thanks for joining the call today. That's going to be our new thing, bro. Genius. Thanks for joining the phone call today, guys. We love you. And don't forget, he is risen. Bye-bye.
Man, see you in a suck.
Shoot, I hit the wrong button.